and welcome back to episode 3 of the Python course. In this episode, we're going to be looking at getting the user input, and we're looking more deeply into the print statement by looking at f string statements and backslash n statements. So, just a quick recap from last lesson where we learned about math operators and the print statements. Basically, to print anything, you have to write print and then in parentheses, you add a quotation mark and write whatever string you want to print. So let's start with hello world and press shift enter to run the cell. So it's taking some time to run, and there we go, it has printed hello world. And all the basic math operators such as floor division, which will print the quotient, and the div operator, which is 10 percentage 3, which will print the remainder. There we go. So that's, and the rest are all the basic math operators such as plus, minus, multiply, divide. So let's start with today's lesson. We're going to start with how Python communicates with the users, and we'll see how Python displays messages, asks for input, and formats output clearly. You can use these skills for programs like calculators, games, and even apps. So we're going to start with the print function, which we already did here. Make sure that when printing your statement, you add the single quotation marks or double quotation marks. Because if you print hello world without the quotation marks, you haven't really defined hello world. You don't add quotation marks when the string inside the parentheses is a variable. So let's take an example here. Let's say we define hello as 10 and we print hello. So notice how we don't have to add the quotation marks because we are already printing a defined variable here, print hello equal to 10. Yeah, and so it's printing 10 because we have already assigned hello as a value of 10. So that's a quick pointer to keep in mind. Um, you can add multiple print statements, print hello, print welcome to coding, shift enter, and it'll print no matter how many times you ask it to. Next, we're going to learn about the input statement. How do we get user input? So you first start off by assigning a variable to an input statement. So let's start with age. Let's say equals to input, and then in parentheses, and then ask your statement that you want to ask the user. So let's say enter age. Okay, so for integers such as age, you always have to add an int and then input. So then add another quotation mark, add another parentheses, sorry, and in an input. You add the int, which stands for integer, for inputs that will be taking any number, integer, etc. However, for strings, so let's say this was name. Since name is not an integer, you simply leave it as input. Let's delete this other one. So let's take name for this example to start, and then we'll come to age. So enter name, shift enter. So here we go, it's asking for your name, and let's say Dev. There we go. Since we haven't really told anything to do with this, it simply stores name as Dev. Alright, now let's take a look at integer inputs. So let's say age equal to input, and then another parentheses, quotation marks, enter age, shift enter, and ask for age, let's say 22. Yep, and it runs that. So that's how you get the basic user input. Keep in mind that you cannot combine variables and strings. So for the print statement again, if you type hello in quotation marks, you cannot add a variable, say name. This doesn't work. However, you can concatenate two strings such as hello and age, which will print hello age. But both of them, keep in mind, have to be in quotation marks, while the plus sign does not have to be in quotation marks. Okay, so now let's move on to f strings or formatted strings. So f strings are basically the best way to print variables inside text, and it's a more efficient way as well. So let's start with print, and we type in parentheses again, and this time instead of immediately going to the quotation marks, actually, we type F and then quotation marks. So write anything really, hello, and then you give the name of the variable in curly brackets, so that is name. So let's just quickly define name above the statement. Name equal to Adam, say. Yeah, so what this will do is you don't need to write Adam again to print hello Adam. You just add a F and then in curly brackets add the variable which you assign, and Python will take the variable as Adam and print hello Adam. So that's just another way of printing this. It's not doesn't always have to be used. If you find it easier to simply write print hello Adam on its own, go ahead. You can also use input statements for formatted strings. An example will be age equals to int input, enter your age, and then we take this and we put it inside the print formatted string F and then quotation marks. You are keep in mind curly brackets, age, years old. So what this will do is take the input from the user and it'll assign, and the value that the user inputs will be assigned to the variable age. So when you print age here, whatever the user inputs will be outputted here. So you are whatever the user inputs, say 16 years old. So let's have a go at that. There we go, it asks enter your age, let's say 67, and yeah, you're 67 years old. Alright, moving on. Now we're going to move to another new concept called \n. So \n is essentially a way to write your print statements in different lines. So how do we, what is the syntax for this? So let's start with another print statement, parentheses. And let's say we say, hello, welcome to Python lesson. And we simply shift enter and see, we get everything in one line. Now let's say we want to say hello in one and welcome to Python lesson in the other line. So how do we format that? So what we have to do is we add a backslash and then we type a n. So what will that do? This will tell Python once it sees the backslash n to move to the next line. So it'll press enter and it'll print the welcome to Python lesson on the line below hello. So let's give it a go. There we go. We see hello on the first line and welcome to Python lesson on the second line. So you can use this really to just structure any output to make it look more clean or organized. So if you guys want to try an exercise, try to implement a formatted string with a backslash n in the same statement, a print statement. So go ahead and give that a try. You can pause this video if you want. So I'm going to write my solution here. Let's start with defining two variables. Name is equal to input, enter your name, and let's say hobby this time is equal to input, enter your favorite hobby. Alright, now let's add the f string and the backslash n in the same sentence. So f double quotation marks, your name is curly bracket name, go outside the curly brackets, and now and your favorite hobby is curly bracket hobby. Yeah, so what this does is it takes two inputs. One input is the name of the user and the other input is the hobby of the user, and accordingly it assigns the variable. Your name is whatever the user inputs and your favorite hobby is whatever the user inputs. It'll take the curly brackets place. And now let's say we want to integrate the backslash n. We add the name in one line and the hobby in the other line. So write the backslash and write n, and let's see what happens. Enter your name, let's say James, and enter your favorite hobby, cubing. See, there we go. It says your name is James, and in the other line your favorite hobby is cubing. Alright, that'll be it for this lesson, in which we learned about the print operator and formatting strings, backslash, and how to get inputs from the user, which is an extremely important concept that you will be using throughout the future. So make sure you guys practice the statement, and make sure you familiarize yourself with these concepts so as to not forget them. To finally end off the lesson, we'll be looking at strings in the next lesson. We'll be taking a deeper dive into the strings concept as a whole, how to concatenate them, how to make them into uppercase, lowercase, and also how to split them, and also just performing operations with strings in general. After the strings, we'll also be looking at lists, which is a new and really interesting concept. So yeah, hope to see you guys then. See you.